Now we will punch another hole. These holes, by the way, are all about 1/8 of an inch. And that is where we will fasten the safety strap later on. Now that we have all of our leather parts cut, we can start the assembly process. We'll start first by taking the long piece, and we will determine where to fold for the belt loop. We need it to be right above the slots for the safety strap. So we'll fold that over, and we'll make a little mark back here with our pencil so we kind of know where it's going to go later. And now we will start by punching some holes for stitching. I'll first punch several holes across, as you see here. And then we will punch some holes down the side, both sides actually, and we will do that with the single punch, being careful to keep the same distance, which is about 1/332 apart from the between holes. And now we can fold this over to our mark, and if you want, you can cement this in place. So let's do that. I'm using the Craftsman contact cement on the part we marked here, and also I will use it on the end of the belt loop. Now we'll set this aside until it dries. Before we actually attach the leather to the back for the belt loop, it's a good idea to bevel our edges, and we will also slick them edges. We'll bevel both top and bottom. We will lightly dampen these edges and slick them. Now since this is a rather thin leather, it's easier to do it with the bone folder than it is with the regular slicker. We will also do that to the top of the front piece. And now we can stick our belt loop in place. And at this point we can take an awl and go through these holes and through to this side, or you could just take a single thonging chisel and go through. Now that we have stitched our belt keeper in place, it's time to start the assembly of the front. The first thing we'll do is prepare our filler strips. Now, you notice it comes down here, but not all the way to the bottom. Now, in order to make an easy transition down there, we'll take a skiving knife and we'll skive this end down to a feather edge. And now when we glue it in, we will not have a lump down here. And we'll do the same thing to the bottom part of the other piece. And now we will apply contact cement to the area along this edge where the filler will go, and then we will also put cement on one side of the filler. And we will set these aside to dry until they get tacky. Now that our cement has become tacky, we can carefully cement these in. Nice thing about leather, it's a little flexible. So now we can press down on this, and we will then do the same thing to the ones over here. Now, we will prepare to put the front on. We'll do the same thing. We will coat the filler, and we will do the flesh side of the front piece the same way. Now that our cement has become tacky, we can very carefully put our front in place. And we're now ready to do our stitching. Next, we will do the stitching. Now, in this case, we're going to do stitching with some waxed thread. You could also do your stitching with leather lace. In that case, you wouldn't do what we're doing now. We're making a groove for our thread. We'll make that groove both front and back. Now I will dampen the leather slightly, and this is purely for the reason that I want to use my overstitch wheel, and it will be easier to do the marking because it'll show better. So now we're going to take the overstitch wheel, and getting right in the groove, we will mark for our stitches. Now in this case, we're going to use an awl as opposed to a thonging chisel, because this thick leather is a little more difficult and to get through with a thonging chisel. I'm using a diamond point awl to stab these holes. I'm being very careful to go straight through so that I hit my groove in the back. And now we will hand stitch this all the way around. After our stitching is finished, then we will take our edge beveler. We'll bevel all these outside edges, and we'll do it front and back. You may need to use some sandpaper and sand this down a little bit, but once you do that, then you can take your bone folder and slick this down. This is a little thick to use your edge or your round slicker, so this works fine to use your bone folder. This is looking real good. It is now time to set the male half of our snap, and now we can pass it through the slots as you see here. It is now time to check the knife and see how it fits, and yes, we have a perfect fit. And now we'll fold the snap over as you see me doing here and bring the other one over and make a mark. And now we will punch a hole where we made that mark. Now we will remove the knife, and now we will set the female part of the snap on the tab as you see me doing here. And now we can check everything. Knife goes in very nicely, and the safety strap works just fine. We have one more little chore here before we're finished with this project, and that is to secure this safety strap with a rivet. I will use a pen and make a mark down through this hole. Now pull it out to the side, and I will take my punch and punch a hole right where my mark is. Now we will set a rivet in here. And now it's just a matter of sliding the anvil under there, putting the cap on, and with the setter and the mallet, we set this rivet. Now we know that the knife already fits quite nicely, and the safety strap is secure and quite nice. We're all ready to go. I sure hope you enjoyed learning how to make a knife sheath today. I know I sure enjoyed bringing it to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on another